to wake people up from the sleep that they are in. It's kind of like the sleep that we are slowly just rocked into from being a child up until being an adult, until you wake up at 20, 30, 40 years old and you're like, what the hell is going on with my life? I feel like a lot of us, me for a very long time as well, was not fully awake. I was just kind of going with the motions, and I wasn't fulfilled with my life, and I didn't love what I was doing, and I didn't like the way that I spent my time. And I want to try to wake people up more often to start to actually question everything. Why am I doing this? Why do I have this job? Why am I spending the majority of my waking hours over my life at this job that I don't even necessarily love in the first place? Because when you think about it, when we're young, we're fully present. Like if you ever seen a 1, a 2, a 3-year-old, they're fully present. But then when you start to see some adults sometimes, you realize that it's almost like they're not fully participating fully in their life. And I think what happens is, we're young, and I don't think any of this is done maliciously, but I think what happens is we're kind of slowly rocked to sleep. And, what happens is you go to school, you're 1, 2, 3, 4 years old, you're this perfect, fully present being, and then you go to school. And you're told what you need to do, right? You're told in kindergarten, you need to be a good boy or girl, and you need to be a good boy or girl so that you can get into first grade. And what happens is then we start looking at what we're doing, and we start changing our true authentic self so that we can fit in and do what the teacher says and do what is acceptable. And then, we go to, got to be a good boy or girl so you can get into second grade. And then you start taking tests, right? And you start taking tests, and you've got to do well at the tests. And if you don't do well, you automatically started to be labeled as a dumb child, and you might just be a slower learner. You might be a late bloomer. But then what happens is you've got to do better so you can get into first grade, and then second grade, and then third grade, and then fourth grade. And then you get into middle school here in America, and then you get into high school. And you've got to do really good in high school. Why? Because you want to be able to graduate, and the better grades that you get, you want to make sure that you get into college. And the better that you do, don't want to get into just a bad college. You don't want to go to a community college. You want to go to a good college. And then you got to do really good in college. And then you got to do really good in college so that you can get a good job. And then when you get that good job, you can climb the corporate ladder. And then you wake up one day and you're 35, 40 years old, and you think, what the fuck have I been doing with my life? That's the reason why the phrase a midlife crisis actually exists, is because we were fooled at some point in time. I feel lucky in the fact that I woke up at around, quote unquote, woke up from the rat race at like 26, 27 years old. And I was like, what is this? Why am I doing this? Why have I followed this path? This isn't what I want to be doing. I'm not excited to be here. And we realize at some point in time, if we really truly wake up from this, that we've been sold a lie. We've been told that you need to go to high school, and then you need to go to college, you need to get a good job, and then you need to, get your degree, and you need to make sure that you get a house, and then you get married and have a few kids. And there's some people that have followed that, and then at some point in time, they're like, this isn't what I wanted. And you've got to, get a house, you've got to get a mortgage, you got to get, your cars, all of that stuff. And what happens is a lot of people wake up a little bit too late, or what they feel is too late. You've built a family, you have a mortgage that you have to pay, you have car notes that have to be paid, you have insurance, you have phone bills, you have food that needs to be bought to feed mouths, and you feel like you're stuck. And you're like, what do I do now? I'm so deep down in this rabbit hole. I've been in this job or this industry for 20 years. I don't want to be here, but I don't feel like I can start over again. And you feel like you're stuck. It's like Kevin O'Leary says. He says, salary is a drug that they give you to forget your dreams, right? Like, at what point in time did you just give up on your dreams? Because you had dreams at one point in time. And there's nothing wrong with working for a company at all. But is what you're doing, does it fulfill you in some sort of way? And here's the thing that I want to say to everybody. If you feel like you've been stuck in that position where you feel like maybe you are a little bit stuck, you can always make a change if you want to. So many people, when I talk about leaving their job and creating the life that they want, they're like, yeah, that sounds great, but I have a mortgage, I have family, I have everything I have to pay for. I'm stuck. I can't do it. I'm like, I'm not saying that you have to quit your job today. I'm saying that you need to make some sort of plan that if you're realizing that what you're doing is not fulfilling to you, it's, soul sucking, that you need to come up with some sort of transition plan, whether it's a year or 2 years or 3 years. You could say in 3 years, I'm going to leave my job. Now I need to figure out a plan of exactly how I'm going to get there. This is so many people, why I think so many people are stressed all the time. because they just don't even love what they do. And they feel like what they're doing is just selling their soul for some corporation to just print money, right? We've all been sold this idea that, we need to make sure that we do this. We need to keep working harder and harder and harder and harder, and we can't stop moving. Well, we always need something else. We always need to keep up with the Joneses. We've been sold that idea that the future will be better if we give up on the happiness in this present moment. Like, just think about that for a second. We're sold the lie. We are sold the lie that the future will be better if we give up the happiness in our present moment. But no moment in your life has ever not been a present moment. The future that you're imagining, if it ever does come to you the way that you want, will be experienced as a present moment. Every past that you remember, every past was a present moment. So you can't just, decide that you're not going to enjoy your life so that you can have some great future coming up. You can't enjoy your life if you can't enjoy the present moment. So if you're just constantly putting yourself into the future, I'll be happy when I get this. I'll be happy when I get this. I'll be happy when I get this amount of money, or I get this watch, or I get this car, or take everybody that I love on a vacation. You won't be happy when you accomplish those things, right? Now is the only time that you will ever have in this moment. So what I want you to do is I want you to look at the road that you're currently on. If you fast forward, this road that you're currently on, is that where you want to be in 10 years? When I was in the corporate world, I made great money. I was young, didn't have to work really hard. I did great. And when I was 27 years old, I was just like kind of depressed and just sad about where my life was. I was like, everything's going great. From the outside looking in, it looks great. But I kept thinking into the future. I kept thinking that, one day I'm going to be 45 years old. It might be 18 years from now when I was 27 at that point, but 18 years from now, if I were to fast forward that at 27, and I don't want to look at myself and see myself at 45 years old. I've been working for some machine. I'm wearing a button down. I'm sitting in a leather chair. I'm under fluorescent lights, and I make $200,000 a year. That doesn't seem like a life I wanted to experience. I didn't want to feel like I was selling my soul for just making a few dollars. I wanted to be able to do whatever I wanted to do when I wanted to do it. If it's Tuesday at 2 p.m., I want to be able to do what I want to do at that time. And I didn't want to feel trapped. But that was the problem, is at that point in time, and I know a lot of you listening have felt this way, I felt like I was trapped. I did not see a way out, and I couldn't figure out. And so what happened was I started to do a lot of research. I started looking at hey, what are some alternative jobs? What's other ways to make money online? And the very first thing that I did, as far as a way to make money online, was I started an Amazon store. I started making some money doing that. And that first little bit of money made me realize, I can do this on my own. Now, I ended up shutting that store down because it wasn't my passion. Same thing. I asked myself in 10 years, do I want to be known as the Amazon guy? The answer was no. And so I shut that down as well. But that was the first little bit, the first little taste of I can make money on my own, and I don't rely on a corporation or a company to do it for me. And once I kind of got that taste, I was like, yeah, I'm going this direction, right? Hey, before you book any brunch or dinner, you pour over list of reviews. So why not do the same with booking a doctor's appointment? You can escape. Let's talk about how you can escape the rat race if that's something that you want to do. So if these words are waking you up in some sort of way, what's the next best thing for you? If you don't want to be there, you need to start thinking about where you do want to be, right? You need to get very clear. You might not know at this moment. You might know right now, I don't want to be where I am in 5 years. Okay, cool. You might also not know where you want to be in 5 years. Fine, but at least you know where you don't want to be. That's a good place to start. So now you've got to start figuring out, all right, this isn't the place for me. I need to leave. I need to come up with a transition plan eventually. Now you've got to figure out how you're going to support yourself and where you are going to be. How do you do something like that? Well, I recommend that you have some sort of 2-year transition plan. Most people who are married with kids, you've got a mortgage, you've got people to feed, all of that stuff. You've got to come up with a 2-year transition plan. You've got to decide a date. In this date, I'm going to figure out, by whatever it is, July 4th, 2025, 2024, whatever it is for you, by this date, I'm going to be quitting my job and I'm going to be doing something different. Come up with that. That's the first step to it. Decide that you want to leave, decide the date that you're going to be leaving by. And then what you do is now you've got 2 years to figure it out. And these are not 2 years where you just kind of, mosey around and just see if you can figure out a way to do it. This is 2 years of dedicated, I'm going to figure it out. Google stuff that you like, start watching YouTubes of stuff that you like, start going to conferences of things that interest you, start reading books of things that interest you. Because where you are now, you haven't found what you wanted, which means you're going to have to do something you've never done before in order to find something that you've never found before, right? You've got to start figuring out what that thing that is that you want. So that's what you got to do. The first step is you have to start to figure out what that thing is. If you don't know what it is you want to do, think about this. How do you want to feel? Like, how do you want to feel 2 years from now? Maybe you want to feel free. You want to feel happy. Maybe you want to feel excited about waking up and putting your time into something, right? You start thinking about how you want to feel, and then make a list of everything that makes you feel that way. What is a list of everything that makes you feel free, that makes you feel happy, that makes you feel excited to wake up? I have friends used to work corporate jobs 5-6 years ago, and they decided, you know what? I'm obsessed with traveling. I'm going to make a travel station on YouTube, and I'm going to figure out how to start shooting. I'm going to figure out how to start editing. I'm going to figure out how to put stuff up on YouTube and make it do well. And like their first few things that came out weren't that great. And then they got better and they got better and they got better. But the important thing is that they just didn't stop. They just kept going down that road. And now they make a few $100,000 a year traveling the world, making videos. That's pretty awesome. Now, does it happen right away? No, it takes years and years and years of being able to do that, but they've been able to do it. So that's the first thing you have to do, is you have to decide what it is that you actually want. Second thing that I would recommend, Google is your best friend. Start Googling things. There's so many ways to make money nowadays. So if you're worried about leaving your job because you have to support yourself and you have to support your family, there are millions of ways to make money online nowadays. I've had a podcast episode about it like 6 or 8 months ago. You can go back and scroll of like how to make money online. I went through a massive list